Welcome to Pour the Wine. It's Rom-Com Time, where we'll sip some wine and review all things rom-com on the Hallmark Channel. I'm Amy.
And I'm Gary.
And it's time to
pour the wine.
What?
But
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Before we pour the wine, I
jumped
just
the
want to, yes, you did. I just want to wish you a happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. Thank you. It is Mother's Day. We're
Yes.
recording this on the evening
Yes.
of Mother's Day. We had a great time
Yep, today.
we're a blended family, so we spent it with my two.
Yep.
And we had a great day.
It was
We went
awesome.
out. Yeah, we pretty much spent the whole day out. We had brunch, then we
Yep.
shopped, then we went to a brewery.
Yeah.
So it was full. And now we're drinking some wine.
And now we're
no
gonna drink
drinking
some
today at all. No mimosas at
no.
brunch. It was a really good day. And then I also heard from the other two,
Yes.
which was nice. So it's been, and a phone call
And a phone call.
from one of them. Yep. So it's been a great day.
They're all grown up.
They're all grown up. They're
What can we
all
say?
grown up. So yeah, it was a good day. Thank you.
Okay. So
All right.
Now I'll pour the
wine.
wine. And what do we have today?
We're
you
pouring
ask?
Courtney Benham, and this was one of the Mother's Day gifts.
Yes, it was.
Shocking that they got me some wine.
And it's a Cab Sav, Sonoma County. And it's a 2023.
2023.
Yeah.
There
Pretty good,
you
huh?
go. There you go.
Yeah.
We would love it if you would click that follow button
Yes.
on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss an episode.
Yes.
If you listen on Apple or Spotify, you can also leave us a review, and hopefully it's a positive review.
Positive.
We really would appreciate it. You can also find us on all the socials.
Yes,
Facebook,
you can.
Instagram, Blue Sky, X, and Threads. So make sure you follow us there and let us know what you think so far.
Please.
Please.
Let's talk, right?
Let's chat.
talk.
Yeah.
Or chat, as you people would say.
As you
Yes.
people would say. Okay.
Oh,
What are we talking about today? What's our topic?
well, today we're going to review the 7th episode of season 1 of The Chicken Sisters. It's junk, y'all.
It's just junk.
Or it's just junk. Sorry,
get
I
the
forgot the
title
just.
right.
Oh, my goodness. And I didn't even have a sip of wine
Not yet.
Well, it aired on Sunday, May 11th, 2025. If you missed it, you can catch it and all episodes on Hallmark Plus.
Word.
So,
Aired today.
yes, today
A little
on
earlier.
Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, who are we adding to the list of actors/actresses in this one?
Oh my gosh. Okay. We are not adding any actors or actresses in this one.
That was a good impression of me. That was really good.
We're not actually for this one. So if you would like a complete list
Yes.
of the actors and actresses who have been in the series so far, or as many as we could name,
Right.
they're in at the beginning of episodes, 1 through 4 and episode 6.
Yes.
So you can go back and check that out
Please
if
do.
you want. Yeah.
And let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Oh, well, great. Well, guess
Well,
what?
great.
It's trivia time.
It's trivia time. Okay. Do you have a question for me, or are you just going to tell me? Sometimes you tell me, sometimes you ask a question.
Feeling judged here.
I'm feisty on Mother's Day.
This is a question,
Okay.
and you should hopefully know the answer.
Okay. We'll
What is
see.
the most popular season for Hallmark Channel movies?
Well, I mean, it's got to be Christmas.
Ding, 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 ding,
Duh.
ding, 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 ding. Correct.
Thank you for giving me an easy question on Mother's Day.
So tell her what she won today.
What did I win today?
A hug and a kiss.
Oh, that's so nice.
I know, right? Yeah. So it's time to drop the synopsis.
All right, here we go. Season 1, episode 7. It's just junk, y'all.
Yeah, it is.
The town unites to support Gus, Amanda, and May during a crisis. Sabrina questions her approach on the show Kitchen Clash.
Yes. So
Ooh.
just got to give you a little note here.
Okay.
Press pause
Oh, yeah.
and go watch it because we're about to drop some spoilers.
There you go. Press pause on the pod.
That's right. Press pause.
Go watch episode 7
Yes,
of
correct.
the Chicken Sisters,
Yes.
and then come back and push play
Yes.
and listen.
Right.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
Man. So what did you think?
What'd you think? Well, let's start with a quick recap
Yes.
of what happened at the end of last. So
Let's
at
do.
the end of last episode, We had Frank Jr. calling the health inspector.
Yeah.
Amanda and Sergio are at Sergio's land that he's going to build a house on.
Yep.
Right. What else happened? Nancy is coming to terms with Frank Sr.
Yes.
And realizes that he may not have been the man she thought he was. After she finds out he wanted to put Gus out and take her business.
Yeah, that was, throw her out on the street.
Yeah.
With her
Lindsay
kids.
and her mom made great strides.
Yes.
Right? They got closer together. So we're kind of floating on that for now at the beginning of the episode. And May and Kenneth, had their heart to heart and made up. And May's really owning her stuff.
Yeah.
And wanting to move forward. And then her fiance shows up.
I know.
Has shown up right at the end. So that's kind of where we are.
Yes.
Now we get to the episode. What an episode.
Yes, it was.
This episode was so good. I thought it was so good.
Yeah, I think it's probably one of the best
One of the best
so
ones.
far.
One of the top 2 for sure.
Yeah.
I think we said episode 5, and then this one, so good. There was a lot in this episode, and we can just get to it, I guess, with the characters. So who do you think we should start with?
Let's start with Amanda.
She's probably a good one to start with because at the beginning of the episode, we see her waking up next to Sergio in the back of his pickup, which could not be comfortable, first of all.
No.
Now, they are fully clothed.
Yes, they are.
So are we supposed to assume nothing? I mean, something's happened, but nothing.
They just snuggled.
Non-Hallmark
Under the stars.
happened, right?
Right.
Right. So she wakes up, it's morning. She realizes she's late.
Yep.
She's freaking out. He's going to bring her home. She's like, are you kidding me? It's a small town, whatever. So she runs home and they're out in like a field. I don't know how far she was, like miles.
Over the river and
but
through the woods.
I have to say, when she's running, they're playing this music. And do you know what it reminded me of?
What?
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh my goodness! Really?
When Ferris is running home.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember? That's towards the end of the movie, isn't it? And he's trying to get home before
jumping over bushes.
Before his dad gets home, and his dad's in the car, and he almost runs into. Or he does. And his dad.
Oh yeah.
No, not the principal. His dad. Yeah.
Yep.
So he's trying to beat his dad on. That's what it reminded me of. And she's running through the town.
That's a good
And
point.
she had cowboy boots on, which could not have been comfortable. But that's an aside.
I know.
So anywho, so she gets home, and right as she gets home, Shauna shows up.
Yep.
And Shauna has the 411 on the health inspector and tells Amanda that someone called the health inspector or whatever on Mimi's.
Yep.
So that's sort of the premise of the entire, that sort of sets the stage for the entire episode, really. So, so now Amanda has this information and she has to figure out what to do with it. And she immediately goes to Gus.
Yep.
And says, someone called the health inspector.
Yeah.
And then Gus kind of, she's like, what does she say? This is, Mimi's is cleaner than a stripper pole on a Monday morning. And then Gus realizes they're not talking about that. They're talking about the house that's right behind.
Yes.
Right. So that's kind of.
Yeah, that's kind of the opening scene there.
Right.
Which
where it starts.
I did think it was funny because like Amanda, it shows her running through a field, and then I guess she's running through an orchard or something. I don't know if it was an apple or an orange or a peach, but she jumps up, grabs it, takes a bite, and then you see her going across a bridge, and then she hides behind a town sign.
Oh, that's right. She hides.
I mean, it was so funny. She's running through the town, and then she finally gets home, and she's like, "Where's Frank Jr.?" And then that's when Shauna pulls up.
And then, after Shauna pulls up, and then after she goes to Gus's house and tells Gus, and Gus is like, basically says something like that. It would require a professional to clean it, a very thorough anal retentive. And then she's like, wait a minute, and then she realizes they need to go to May. Who is anal retentive and has the show. What was the name of May's show? Sparkling.
Yep.
So, so that's kind of, so now we're kind of getting into, then Amanda and Gus are now united and they have to go and get May.
Yeah.
Right. Who is with her fiance who just showed up. Right. So
let's talk about that scene because that was kind of funny. was kind of funny. So May and Jay, her fiance, are in the room and they're talking when Amanda and Gus break in. And this is the first time that they meet each other, right?
Jay and Amanda and Gus.
And you can see the look on Amanda's face because she's like, busted.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then it's funny because May says to Jay that this is my mom. She's not a 5-star. She doesn't own a 5-star restaurant.
Right, which is what she told Jay. Right?
And this is my sister, Amanda, who is not a sommelier. So,
and then because I think I had asked that before, like, what else did she lie about? She apparently did lie about everything. She made stuff up about her family.
Yes. And she did a good job of lying.
And I will give, Jay credit in this episode too, because here's a man who's been lied to about her past and the people in her life and where she's from.
Yep.
And how she made it in New York,
right.
Where she was working. And he still shows up.
Yeah.
Because there's something there. And I just think it really shows a lot about May and his relationship. And, they might have the deepest connection out of anybody. And here Amanda and Frank Jr. have been married for at least 16 years, right? Because the daughter's, I don't know.
She's getting ready to go off to college.
She's 16, 17 years. And they're in a different place, and we find out Frank Jr. has probably been like this the whole time.
Yeah. And it's sad.
Kind of an ass, but
it's very sad.
Yeah. So, so that scene is funny and interesting. And then, of course, May decides to go and help.
Yes.
And they all go to Gus's house.
Yep.
And I kind of like the scene where, May and Jay, she's kind of like, it's going to be a lot.
Yes.
Like when you walk in there and he's basically like, it's fine.
Yeah. He grabs her by the hand and says,
let's go do it. And I just thought that was so, I don't know. I think their relationship
there was a lot
shining
of
through a lot
character growth in this one.
Between
with all of them, really. They all grew. They all came out, May is so afraid of that house.
Yeah.
Because when she was little, she always feared that something would fall down on her. But I do like, in order to get through it, she turns into her character from Sparkling.
So I just want to back up just a little bit, though, about the house itself.
Yep.
So they have like either that day or a day.
Yes.
And realistically, if you're looking at that, that's not going to happen.
No.
Like as a viewer and as, there's so much stuff. And it's usually, people who hoard, it's deeper. I mean, I'm not an expert on it and I'm not, you just know that the issues are deeper than the stuff.
Yep.
And you do find out at some point, Gus talks to Sergio about that a little bit later.
Yep.
And, to go in there, May kind of goes in there and Gus is basically like, hey, we'll just put it in storage for now. And May's like, no, we're going to trash it. But that's hard for people who have hoarded. And I felt like Gus kind of was like, okay, like, excuse you. But then she kind of gives in. But I think it would be harder for someone who was a hoarder to that extent to just be like, okay, let's take everything out and get rid of it.
Right.
I don't know that we saw as big of a struggle as I think it would actually be for someone. I mean, but Gus is also at a point in her life where maybe she is trying to change, but that's a long time. Rome wasn't built in a day. So
no, it wasn't. And, and then again, going back to when May, in order to get through it, has to get into character from Sparkling.
Yes.
And that is such a good scene. Because the music starts playing and she just starts cleaning. And
she says, you're going to go in that room. You have zone 1, you have zone 2. And she, bosses everybody around because she's organized. But I think that's how she deals with, that's how she deals with things is she becomes in charge. She makes a plan and she executes it. And that's what keeps her mind focused.
Yeah.
So that says a lot about her. Like you said, we're really seeing,
to me, it was just a good scene. But then, so now you still have the fact that the townspeople Gus doesn't realize that they're rallying the troops, the community, to come and help
who was
her.
rallying them? The important part there is Nancy.
Right.
Nancy goes and talks to the pastor, right? And has sort of am I a good person?
Yeah, she's struggling with it. Self-worth, man.
Yeah, and so Nancy is the one who does rally the townspeople to come marching to Gus's house.
Yes.
and help her out, because there's no way four of them could do. I mean, there's no way the town could do it in one day, but four of them,
Right. And
usually.
then as they're cleaning up in the house, Gus, Amanda, May, and Jay, Gus looks out the window and sees
all the people coming. But what's funny is that she thinks it's some big secret. It's like the town's biggest open secret.
Right.
Her house. Everybody know. I mean, even the pastor, when Nancy's talking to him, knows that Gus's house is like that, because he says, "Oh, her restaurant's as clean as a whistle, and it's going to be fine." And Nancy's like, "No, Pastor, it's the house." And he goes, "Oh, I mean." Everybody knows. She's like, she doesn't want to give the town something to talk about, but they're already talking about it.
Right.
And they already know.
And isn't it interesting that her restaurant is as clean as it is, but her house is just a mess?
No, I think there are people, there are people who are hoarders like that, who go into work every day, and you would never know if you went to their house. You wouldn't suspect that. I know I've read that too.
Yeah.
So like other parts of their life are functional, and you might not, suspect what the conditions of the house are. People can fake it a lot.
Yeah.
And maybe the business, I mean, that's her bread and butter and her money.
Yeah.
So she knows she's got to keep it sparkling clean, or no one will come in.
Yeah. Which throughout most of the episodes, no one really goes in.
Right.
But,
Right.
But the exchange between Nancy and Gus when the community does walk up, I thought was very powerful too, because Gus comes running out. Well, you did it this time. You're going to close, Mimi's, and et cetera, et cetera. And Nancy goes, "No. We're here to help you."
Right.
And then you could just see the look on Gus's face. It was just, to me, it was really powerful, because you could see at that moment she was like something was just lifted off of her shoulders.
Yeah, like a relief kind of. I mean, what is Nancy says, "Gus, you're as stubborn as a stain," because Gus doesn't want the help. No one's going in my house,
Yeah.
And it's like you said, and then when she realizes, I mean, she has to have the help. She has to.
Yeah.
Or she's going to get shut down.
Right.
And then they won't make any money. So.
And then in the meantime, you got Patrick and Kenneth.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Running interference with Sabrina. So her and Gordo don't go out to the house.
Right. Because they're supposed to go to Gus's house to shoot B-roll. And Patrick and Kenneth have to stall her, basically, for as long as they can. That was kind of funny. They act like they're trying to sell a bit about them having a reality show and everything. So that was really good. And then Shauna, and then you have Frank.
Oh my goodness.
Frank Jr., who made the phone call. He doesn't go to help, right?
No,
he stays at the restaurant, and then he sees Shauna, and she just can't help herself, right? Because, well, first of all, Shauna's the one who also told Nancy.
Yes, she did.
Because she was like, "Amanda's not here, and I can't tell you why." But I'm going to tell you why, okay? Because you asked. It's just so funny. She can't get out of her own way, and everybody knows it,
Yeah.
And we all know people who would swear and say, "I won't say anything," but if you tell them, it's going to get out somewhere, or everywhere in that case. And then when she sees Frank Jr., when Shauna sees Frank Jr., and he's like, "Where is everybody?" And she's like, "Who could know?" She does. She's trying so hard. She's trying so hard not to tell him. And she goes, "I don't know anything."
She's like, "I don't know. I don't know anything."
She says, "Who could know? Who could know?"
In a deep voice too. It's like
her voice changes. It was just so funny. She's just dying to tell him, and she has to leave the room, leave because they're in like the main part of the restaurant, and she leaves the area that they're in because she knows she's going to say something, and she just has to leave. And he's kind of like, okay, he's too dumb to figure out,
Yeah.
So
me and him are done.
You and him. Oh, I know. You said, yeah. You guys have broken up.
Yeah, we have. I love him because he does a great job at this character.
He really does.
He makes me hate him.
He really does.
I don't like hating people, but he makes me hate him.
I wonder if he was really like that in the book. I'd be very curious what his character was like.
Yeah.
In the book, if he was that way. And we do get a glimpse of him too.
Right.
We haven't really talked about him. At the beginning, you see him with his dad when he was growing up.
We get a flashback.
Yeah, where he's young and he's fishing with his dad and he's playing football and stuff with his dad. And then
always trying to please
him. And then he, kind of fumbles because he's a bumbling idiot. He fumbles during a pitch during like a board meeting or whatever. And his dad then realizes he doesn't really have the business chops and then cuts off his relationship with him, really. Yeah. I mean, so.
And poor Frank Jr. to this day is still trying to please his dad.
Right. Right. Even after his dad is gone.
Change.
Yeah. But he wants it to.
Yeah. But so let's talk about May and Jay. Okay, so we kind of already. Well, just on the No,
I mean I know there's more. I'm just saying we touched on the inn part,
right?
Where Amanda.
Well, when they have their conversation about the lying, when May, Jay's like, I love you for who you are. You're tough, you're beautiful, with your faults or without your fault. And she was like, really? And, I thought that scene too was a very.
Are you talking about when they're at the house?
Yeah, when they're at the house.
Right. So they're sitting outside. Mm-hmm. It's still daylight. They're still, I think maybe the townspeople had left by then, or Gus shoot them all away or whatever. And that was a pretty powerful scene because you can really see that May, and she even says, I don't feel like I'm worth loving.
Right.
And that's so sad.
Right.
And he's like, you are worth loving.
Yeah.
He has to reiterate that to her. That was a really powerful scene.
And that was right after May, when she was going through the house, and you can tell she was starting to struggle with staying focused. And she opens up a closet, and pillows and clothes fall on her, and she freaks out.
Yeah.
And Amanda comes running in to calm her down, like she did when they were little, and she gets her to calm down. And then May kind of has this breakdown about how mom loves this stuff more than she loves them.
Yeah.
And little did they know that Gus was around,
overheard their conversation,
corner in the doorway, listening.
Well, May starts to have like that panic attack.
Yes.
And so.
And then that's when she goes out of the house, and Jay's like, it's all good,
Yeah.
We're good.
Isn't that funny though? Like your childhood trauma comes back. I mean, for real.
Yeah.
It stays with you. You just learn to deal with it or cope with it, or you go to therapy, and then it comes back in ways. Well, I mean, she's literally back where it started. Right. And what caused it probably, and how her mother was, at the time. And that would be a lot. It would be a lot. And I think I just love May.
Yeah.
I mean, I love her character. I just think she's really the strongest one.
Out of all of them.
Really, out of all of them, even with her faults, and she really did. And it's just really powerful that Jay, when he tells her she is worth loving and he's going to stick around, and then he tells her something.
Yeah, he lied.
He lied.
He quit his job.
Didn't lie. I guess he lied by omission, right?
Yeah, he didn't tell her.
He didn't tell her that he had quit his job.
Yeah.
And she's a little bit taken aback, but...
Yeah. I'm sorry. I took a sip of wine.
Yeah, that's fine. I know. She's taken aback, and but then she's like, of course it's fun. You love me through this.
She goes, because he said, I got something to tell you. She goes, what, did you work at Donkeys too?
Yeah, Donkeys with a Z.
With a Z.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. That was kind of cute. Yeah. So it was good to see that relationship come together.
Yeah.
And then you have the whole, Sergio of it all. He's cooking for all the people that are helping at Gus's house.
I thought it was cool.
And there's a really funny scene when the people who normally go to Franny's, they're standing in the doorway of
Big
Mimi's.
Jim and Dottie, or Big Tim and Dottie.
They're standing in the doorway, and they're hungry, and Sergio's like, "Do you want some food?" And they're like, no, I'll just have a Tic Tac that's in my purse or piece of gum. Because they don't want to, cheat on Franny's. Then they end up eating. So that was kind of a cute, fun little sprinkle in there and all of it. So, yeah.
And come to find out, the chicken was moist and delicious.
And it was really good. They liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good scene. And so since you brought up Sergio, let's talk about Nancy when she's talking to Amanda in the house, and she's asking her, is she in it, or, in the marriage? And
Nancy apologizes.
Right, she apologizes
to Amanda because she says, I had no idea, Frank Sr. was doing that.
Right.
And I hope if I had known,
right,
I would have put my foot down, basically like I would not have wanted him to kick you out of your house or lose your restaurant, because that's not the way I am.
Yeah, I'm not that person.
And Amanda's like, I know you're not that person. I know you're a good person.
And that's when Sergio walks in and asks if they want some food. Yeah. And then a little light goes on in Nancy's head that they're both wearing the same clothes they did the night before.
The day before, yeah.
So she puts 2 and 2 together.
Which isn't a hard leap.
And, right.
It's not a tough leap.
You can also see the look on Amanda's face, how
she knows.
She starts to smile. And then that's when Nancy starts to ask, and they start to get into it. And then Amanda fires back and she says, Frank Jr. is the one that called.
Yeah.
On my mom.
At first I thought maybe that's what Nancy thought. That's why That's why Nancy got the townspeople to come. Yeah. I thought maybe she realized it was Frank Jr. earlier in the episode, but I don't think she did based on her reaction in that moment that you were just talking about. So that kind of tricked me a little bit. I was like, oh, I thought she already suspected that because earlier in the episode, Nancy leaves Frank Jr. a voicemail just like, because she's been thinking about Frank Sr. and how he's not a nice guy. Right. And, she's like, I know you want to be just like your daddy.
Yeah.
You got the best parts of him, but you also got the best parts of me. So she's like, make good decisions, you know? And I was thinking maybe she suspected then, but maybe not. But now I realize it was probably just a phone call about his dad. And hopefully you got the good parts of me that will outweigh the bad parts of your daddy, Your
daddy.
Yeah.
But then you see when she goes to confront Junior.
Then Nancy goes to confront.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he basically quadruples down on his attitude, and I just...
Excuse me in my wine sip.
I was just disappointed. And he just hammered that last little hammer, that nail into the coffin with me and him.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, you still are getting in your own way.
Yep. Yep. And he was like, yeah, and I did. And I mean, he basically, that's what she said. And
Daddy would want us
it's
to
like
win.
when your kids make decisions that you disagree with or that, I mean, they have to learn on their own. But when they're an adult like that, it's so hard because, you always want them to do the right thing and you hope they don't do anything that is going to hurt someone else or be mean to someone else. But I mean, it happens. Now, of course, this is an extreme version.
Right.
With, Frank Jr. and what he did. I mean, he's basically going to put them out of business. So I'm not talking about that extreme, but, you can just see as a parent, it's hard.
Yeah, it is.
It's hard. And she's coming around to the fact that things probably are going to have to change.
Well, he's a grown man.
Yeah.
And, it's his decision. He's going to have to live by him.
Yeah. So then we see Sabrina finally makes it to the house.
Yes.
And she starts filming because she's like, oh, this was in Gus's house. So she's got Gordo with her and she's filming and Lindsay is there with Frankie.
Yes.
And you can immediately see that Lindsay doesn't want her mom, like the look on her face is like, don't film this. This is embarrassing. Like, don't do this to them.
The family.
And she goes and tells her as much, right? And then that's when Sabrina accidentally spills that. Well, she spills that.
What are you worried about? Because you're only hanging out with Frankie because I told you to, and Frankie was
overhears it.
Was standing behind Sabrina when she said that, and that upset Frankie, and she goes off.
And it upset Lindsay because now she really likes Frankie. Yeah. She considers her a friend. And even though it may not have started that way,
right,
she's a friend and she never would have told her that.
Right.
So, and now Frankie's upset and now Lindsay's upset at her mom. And now they're back to where they were
when they first got
there in terms of kind of button heads and, and then you do realize that Sabrina, it's Sabrina.
Yeah.
She doesn't film.
Right.
Like, she ends up not filming it.
Well, that's when she gets back to the hotel or the inn, Keith's Inn, Kenneth's Inn.
Yeah.
In comes May. She ran.
What
is with these Mimi girls?
That's true. Both of them ran in the episode. You're right.
Like, what's going on? But she's huffing and puffing.
So May leaves and runs all the way to the inn. And Sabrina's like, did you follow me here? Because she was in the car. And May's like, yeah, I did. And then what does she say? May basically pleads her case, like, don't show that footage. If you show it, it will ruin, it'll destroy what my family's built over generations and, all for some stupid show. And then Sabrina's like, something happened to the camera. We don't have that footage. And then May's like, I didn't mean that about your show.
Well, Gordo goes, yeah, you told me to turn it off.
Yeah, Gordo. And then Sabrina kind of gives him a look like, I'm trying to say.
She said, I guess I did.
I did.
And you can see the hurt in her face.
Yeah.
When May said that about her show. And she's like, I really love your show.
Well, it's good. Sometimes you come around and you realize that some of that salacious stuff isn't worth.
Right.
I mean, now, there's like clickbait.
Right.
And everybody likes to see someone get torn down. Why that is, I have no idea.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, this is off on a little tangent. Like we, not to toot Hallmark's horn. We're not getting paid by them or anything. We're not sponsored, but that's kind of why we turn to them more often now. We watch a lot of TV.
Yeah,
we watch a lot of series. I'm a big entertainment buff. But we've been drawn more and more to Hallmark just because we're just tired of the heavy stuff. You know, sometimes you just want to break. And now Chicken Sisters is serious.
Yes, it is.
And it's, it's dramatic, but in that vein of watching these, reality shows and things. And we watch them, but it's just, it's like enough, I
know.
And we love reality cooking shows.
I know.
Not the ones like Kitchen Clash. We don't even like that, but
yeah,
we do love some Hell's Kitchen and some Top Chef and but they're not salacious like this. But they used to be a little worse than they are now.
Oh, I know.
I think all that's calmed down too because people just don't want it.
Like, I don't hear people screaming at each other all the time. There are good people on this planet.
Right. Not
everybody's a hole.
Right.
Come on.
So yeah, but it's too late. Sabrina changed her mind too late, and now Lindsay's mad at her.
Right.
So we're kind of ending the episode like you said, like we started the series, right? Where they're kind of, so.
But then let's go into Frankie. Let's
go into Frank. Oh yes,
because she grabs a box of her mom's stuff and she goes back to Mimi's and she starts to go through it. And one of the things that she finds is the recipe book from way back
generations
when.
or whatever
from her grandmother.
Over time. Mm-hmm.
And then there's a letter she finds, and it has a seal on it, and it has not been opened. Isn't that interesting?
Yep. And the seal looks almost like English or something,
like
some kind of royalty. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like I know seals, but
Yeah, she opens
wax
it up
seals
and
on the
she
letter.
reads it and we learned something. Spoiler alert.
What did we learn?
That I guess her mom, or not her mom, but because the letter's dated
1912.
1912.
Right.
And that, the Mimi was pregnant. I'm going to have a baby. I don't know if it was Mimi.
We don't learn that in the letter. We learn that the guy, whoever the dad was, basically said, "I'm not
ready to be a dad."
Because we paused it and read it.
Well, that's true. That's true. So we don't. Yeah,
it said something like, "I'm not ready to be a dad or a father," and I forget what else it said, but we paused it and we read it. So
she gets up to like she's found some very
interesting
information, But then the camera cuts away to Gus in her house looking around. And all of a sudden, she grabs, I guess, I don't know if it's gasoline or what.
Now everybody has left the house.
Everybody's left
out.
the house. It's dark now.
It's dark. It's nighttime.
And she just starts pouring whatever liquid it is on all the junk in there and lights it on fire. And she comes walking out the door. Meanwhile, Amanda, May, and Jay and Sergio are, they're away from the house and they're talking. When they turn around, they go, "Oh, Mom, the house is on fire." And they start to go toward the house, and Gus grabs him by the hands, and they're all three standing there watching it burn.
Yeah.
That was
And then she
ends up fainting or
passing out.
Passing out.
Yeah, Gus does.
So we're not sure if that's whatever she has is progressing or it's just stress that's causing her to pass out. Because it was a big day for her. Right.
I mean, that's a big emotional day. And I think that there was a part, we skipped over the part where her and Sergio were talking.
Oh, that's right.
Where Gus and Sergio have a moment where they kind of have a heart-to-heart. And she tells him that when her mom, she had a lot of great memories in her house. That's the house she grew up in.
Yeah.
And when her mom died, when she was very young, the stuff around her made her feel safe.
Yeah.
So that's why she has all that stuff, is because it makes her feel safe when she's there. Right. But it had the opposite effect on her kids.
Yeah. And that was after.
And they hated it, and they,
that was after she overheard May and Amanda say that she's selfish and.
Right. Oh, yeah. When she had the conversation with Sergio.
Yeah. And she was like, "Sergio, I wish I could have a do-over. And
yeah.
He said, "You can."
Yeah.
Sergio is a good dude.
You can start fresh. Well, I mean, he's a good dude to an extent.
Yeah.
He is.
But he seems to be the calm one in all of this.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, I thought that was a really good scene too, because now you find out why she's a hoarder.
Right.
Because it was for protection.
Made her feel
being
safe.
a young female with kids, yeah, of course.
Yeah. And like you said, she realizes after she overheard her daughters talking that it really kind of messed them up. Yeah. And they felt like she chose that over them.
Yeah.
And there's so much more to it than that. Although I don't blame Amanda and May, for feeling the way they do. So it's messed up all around. So we'll see what happens. I mean, we have one more episode of this season. We know they're shooting season 2. So I'm curious about what's going to happen.
How they're going to end it.
I have no idea.
This actually could have been the last episode. It would have been a great cliffhanger.
Yes. Yeah, because she faints. We got the letter. Yes. We got Lindsay and Sabrina still at each other's throats. The only people who are really working and clicking right now are May and Jay.
Yeah.
May and Jay. Jay and May.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I thought that was it was a really, really good episode. So out of 5 corks, how many corks do you give it? I give it a 5. I'd give it more if I could, but we rated on
5.
0 to 5 corks. I guess 5. Yeah, I think it was one of the best episodes.
Yeah,
for sure.
I agree with you.
Yep.
So is that a wrap?
That's a wrap.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Be sure to follow the podcast wherever you listen so you don't miss one. Also, follow us on social media if you really, really like the show and are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Leave us a review, please. And if you really, really didn't like it, you can still leave us a review. Right?
If you didn't, hopefully you'll find some positive points.
Yeah.
We're open to constructive criticism.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, sure.
So anyway.
Join us next Tuesday when we review the season finale of The Chicken Sister, Season 1, Episode number 8, The Best Chicken in Town, y'all, which will air on Sunday, May 18th, 2025 on the Hallmark Channel. Maybe we'll actually get the kitchen competition again.
I know.
We've had one episode, the little teeny tiny bit of the kitchen competition itself.
The side orders, yeah.
Be sure to also tune in on Wednesdays for our Hallmark movie reviews. Until then, fill up your glasses and push play. Thanks for listening.
Cheers.